7th Avenue on Tuesday, April 24th, 2018, between the hours of 8 a.m. and approximately noon for the Shrine Circus Senior Show. Something we do every year for traffic to allow the seniors easier access to the palace for the show.
Move to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion pass. Second on the agenda, request for overnight parking for the Shrine Circus campers. Scott Schmidt from the Corn Palace requests that the circus campers and trailers be allowed to park and stay overnight in the city parking lot from Sunday, April 22nd through Thursday, April 26th, 2018. This will be just the east half of the lot, which they occupy every year for the event.
Motion to approve.
Question, it only says City Hall parking lot. Are they going to use the old Disco Seeds lot for overnight also?
No, they just use the east half with all their campers.
Okay.
That's festivals when they use the disco.
Okay, thank you.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion pass. Third, request for a parade permit, James Valley Cycle Club. The James Valley Cycle Club, on behalf of the March of Dimes Poker Run, requests a parade permit for May 5th, 2018, from 12 p.m. from South Main at the depot, north on North Main Street to the intersection of Ullman Street, which is 37 bypass, turning west to travel back to the south on Ullman Street over the interstate. Again, that's the route that the Cycle Club uses annually. We'll be providing traffic control at major intersections for that event.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And that is all we have for Traffic Commission. Next commission meeting will be Monday, the 16th at 6.
Okay. I will now call the Public Health and Safety meeting to order. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda.
We have to do a motion to adjourn first. My bad.
Go for it.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Adjourned.
Okay, I will now call to order the meeting for Public Health and Safety. Entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Okay, we have one item on the agenda, Colburn's kickoff for summer on May 12th, 2018, a noise permit. Is there anyone? It's a Saturday from noon to 4 p.m. Any questions, comments? I don't. We've done one for them. I don't know if it's at the same time of the year, but I thought it was later in the summer. But
Were there any complaints last year?
I just hope they have good weather.
I remember last year we last asked about it, and if there was complaints, it was very minimal. It was almost, maybe one kind of a little loud over there, but it's in the middle of the afternoon, so it brings quite a few people to town. I know that. It's a good event.
I don't have a problem with it, but given the time of day, do they even need a noise permit?
I think because, if I'm not mistaken, they get above a certain noise level, even if it's during the time of the day. Is that not? Mike? Is there a noise, even during the daytime? Mel asked if, do they even need a noise ordinance? But I think, isn't there a certain decibel level they can't get to above during the daytime?
I was in another conversation. Which event are we speaking of?
Colburn
Colburn's-
Summer Bash.
Yeah, because of the amplified noise, we have noise permits. We treat it the same way as we would a street dance or anything like that, where we're having the noise in that area.
Even during the day, it still has a maximum level, which they will exceed.
Yeah, what they're going to have is they're actually going to have the car stereo competition, which it gets quite loud.
They had that last year.
Yes, had it again last year. None that I'm aware of.
We have those about 3 times a week at the high school.
Agreed.
He's saying something.
We do what we can.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, we are adjourned.
Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have someone here from North Ridge Baptist?
Yes. Would you bow with me, please? Heavenly Father, this evening we gather here to do work that you've laid before us, and we thank you for the privilege of serving this community and you, Lord. And our prayer is that with everything we say and do, that we would be honoring one another with the love that you've displayed to us as we prepare for Easter and remembering the sacrifice you made it on our behalf, Jesus. We give you glory. So lead every part of this meeting, and may it be one that helps our community forward. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Okay, roll call, please.
Olson,
Here.
Rice,
Here.
Dosher, McCardle,
Here.
Harrington,
Here.
Allen,
Here.
Jerks,
Here.
Smith.
Here.
That's all I say.
Okay, first thing on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda items. Items appearing on the consent agenda may be removed by a city council member for discussion at the beginning of the formal agenda items. There is one item on this consent agenda that I want removed. I'm not sure what letter is that, Stephanie. I'm not
Aye.
finding it here.
It is the pay estimate for core engineering under item I. We will not be submitting that one.
Okay.
Move to approve the consent agenda with removal of I.
Okay, is there any other discussion?
Did-
Public comment?
I guess, one point, a couple things that, just to point out. We have the sales tax info in there, and on the first and second penny sales tax, we were above 500,000 for the first time in the month of February, and the whole, in the 15 years that are shown, so that's a good trend. And the same thing on the third penny sales tax, we're above 60,000 for the month of February for the only time that's listed, so that's also good. However, and it's not necessarily part of this, Stephanie sent us some retail sales information trends, which I think we need to pay attention to because it does indicate some things that are happening. But I just wanted to point those out, that those were in the consent agenda. The other item that's in there that I noticed as a change is we have a different or a new BY Water purchase graph or file, I guess a spreadsheet. You want to look at to show if we go over the usage and then the amount of extra charge we are going to have to pay. There aren't any in this month, but that would show going forward what our usage and then payments for those usages are.
And we have gotten that report before, but John thought it was good to include to council so you could see the breakdown of which
Right.
categories of payment we're doing for that.
I just wanted to point those out, that those were in there.
I had one thing I wanted to maybe just mention it to Wade. I see that we have like 4 pages of people that we've had to do snow removal for. That's way more than what we've ever had before. Is this spread out over several snowstorms, or was it this last one that was so heavy? I guess it had to be previous.
I think that was the month of January.
Is
Just the
that
month of
typical?
January.
Is that doesn't it seem like a
It's
lot?
always, the first snowfall of the year is always where it seems like we have a lot more to clean off than we normally would. I do recall that one, they probably had more than 48 hours allowed because there was about 2 snowstorms that hit within about, or 2 snow events that hit within maybe probably 3 or 4 days, so.
Are we pretty successful at collecting these?
I'd say probably less than 50%.
Oh, really? what do we do about that?
What we'll do at the end is we'll have an assessment hearing, and then November 1st, I do believe.
So we give them a little
November
extra.
1st. They go to the county and then they assess them to their taxes.
Most of these rentals?
Not all of them. No. So,
I was just surprised at just the sheer number
mhm.
that there were this time.
Yep.
Wade, while you're up there, do we do anything about the goat tracks? Where people have a 5-foot sidewalk and they shovel a foot in the middle there? Because the purpose is to have a handicapped access, and if you got to be a Sherpa to walk the sidewalk, you know, it doesn't do you any good.
If we're out and about cleaning, we'll just we'll make a pass on it, hoping that they get the idea for next time. Next year, we can always look at ways of wording it differently when I send them out in their water bill or the send them on the water bill, newspaper, on the radio. So.
Thanks.
Can I just make one comment on the sales tax information as well? I did hand out to your desk this morning too, just based on some of the conversations. Somebody had asked me what the historical comparisons are for other first-class municipalities. So I have that combined for the last 9 years, which is as far as the state reports went back. And then I also have the comparison for January and February, where Mitchell was the second highest increase for those municipalities listed. And I did on that second page, when you're looking at the general sales tax as well as the gross receipts tax breakdown, clarified which year I'm comparing to, so you can get that better from that as well. And then one other item just before you act on your consent agenda item, on your motion with I, I'm assuming you're just excluding Core Engineering's payment off I, correct? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Is there any public comment? If not, roll call.
Aye.
Rice,
Aye.
Gosher, McCardle,
Aye.
Barrington, Allen,
Aye.
Sharks, Smith,
Aye.
motion carried.
Citizens input. If you need to address the mayor and members of the city council on an item that was not on the agenda, excluding personnel items, please come forward to the podium and state your name and your concern. Presentations are limited to 3 minutes. Items will be considered, but no action will be taken at this time. Anyone that wants to come to the podium and address the council? No one? Okay, then we'll move on to the,
Mayor, I've got one, and I was in attendance, so I have to make the comment and congratulate Dakota Wesleyan on their national championship.
And I was just going to mention what a great weekend we had here in town with the state gymnastics and the show choir competition that was held at the new Performing Arts Center. I talked to some of the parents, and they said that they had 1,100 participants just in choirs alone. They had so many people that were there that they wouldn't let the students that were competing come to the Performing Arts Center because it was filled with spectators. And I know that their ticket sales were beyond their expectations. So I think that anytime we've got that many people coming to town, it's a real good thing. It was a 2-day competition this year for the first time. So I hope that our hotels and restaurants felt the impact of that, but it was a great weekend.
anyone else? Okay, if not, then we'll move on to the committee reports. First one is the traffic committee report.
Traffic Commission met at 6 p.m. this evening. We had 3 items on the agenda this evening. The first being a request for a street closure for the Shrine Circus Senior Show on April 24th. They requested that the Main Street area be closed from 6th to 7th from the hours of 8 a.m. until noon. That item was approved. Second was also related to the Shrine Circus. There was a request for overnight parking for the circus campers. They were requested to use the City Hall parking lot from Sunday, April 22nd to Thursday, April 26th. That item was approved. Third item being a request from the James Valley Cycle Club for a parade permit. They are having their poker run for March of Dimes, May 5th, 2018, from noon, leaving the depot north on Main to the bypass going down Olman Street to cross over the interstate, and that item was also approved. We adjourned at 6:02 p.m.
A motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is the Public Health and Safety Committee report.
Public Health and Safety met at 6:04 p.m. We had one item on the agenda, a noise event permit for Coborns for their summer bash on May 12th from noon to 4 p.m. It was approved unanimously by voice vote, and we adjourned at 6:06.
Okay, entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Entertaining motion for the city council to recess and sit as the Board of Adjustment.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. First thing here is the hearing on Roger and Tammy Hartley at 504 West 13th Avenue. And this was tabled from the last meeting. Roger and Tammy Hartley have applied for an oversized variance of 2,448 square feet versus 2,000 square feet to construct an accessory garage at 504 West 13th Avenue, legally described as Lot 11, Block 18, Capitol Edition, City of Mitchell, Davidson County, South Dakota. The property is zoned R2, single-family residential district.
Just as a friendly reminder, just as acting as a board of adjustment, it does require a 2/3 majority. So just also want to direct your attention to the March 12th Planning Commission minutes. You would see that they did hold a hearing on this request. You may recall the last time they were looking for a drainage plan, and that the Hartleys did submit that, and the Planning Commission did review that as well, and their recommendation is to approve the variance with stipulation that the downspouts be installed as accordance to the plan that he had submitted. So I see the Hartleys are here if you've got any specific questions of them.
Are you comfortable that the drainage, that this particular drainage plan, in terms of a drainage plan, is adequate?
Well, we had, so if you, in the minutes there, you may note that SPN did also review this as well, so.
Just seems like a really easy fix.
Yeah.
To me.
You all got a copy of that one letter too for them to discuss.
Yep. I guess, I've got a question, and the variance was for square footage.
Correct.
Correct? So, and it's
2448 is what they're
448,
requesting.
and the maximum is 2,000. Is the height within compliance of?
They've indicated to me that they will comply with the height, which is 22 feet is the
So
peak.
it's the square footage size.
Correct. And then all the other setbacks, according to the plan that's submitted, they'll meet all the other ones, front yard, side, and everything. So
And I
it's just
believe,
size.
the other comment that was asked during the meeting was that the driveway will be concrete and sloped to the,
I'll let them address their project.
Okay.
Yep. Why don't you?
hi, Roger.
Hi.
I just wanted to confirm of what I read, that the agreement was made that the driveway would be concrete and would be sloped to the
Yep.
road, to the drainage.
Yeah, where the boulevard's gonna be, it's gonna be sloped up like an approach, and then I'm gonna go with like a 6-inch floor on the building itself, so it's gonna be up kinda high.
Okay.
And I'll have it,
And the reason I ask is because I know if I read the Edmund Street on there is still gravel.
yeah,
And I know that's the concern of the drainage, because it does, that's an area of town that does not drain very well. So anything we can get to the street is actually, to me, a benefit for that drainage instead of draining through the yard.
I figure it'd benefit me also, keep the water away from the building, from rotting out the poles, and
What they're giving us the height of this?
the height from the ground to the peak is gonna be 22, which is within city ordinance. basically, I'm just looking to go like another 12 feet longer versus the, you know, I could go with like a 30 by 60, but I'd like to go 72 just for the length of it. Because I'll be putting a fifth wheel camper in there, and if I ever get a longer camper someday, I want to be able to still use it, so.
So from the street then, looking to the north, is your building, the new one that you're requesting, is that going to line up with the houses?
Yep.
It will, the setback, yeah. And I know there's no variance, but I was just curious that, to make for sure that.
The front of the building, compared to the house to the east, it'll actually be probably a couple feet to the back farther than what the front of her house is. And with my house on the west side, it'll line up in about the middle of the deck. It'll be about 2 feet from the actual structure of the house itself, so.
Thank you.
I'm not sure I really followed that, but her recommendation in this was that if you could set it back, what was it? I'm trying to find that exact verbiage. If nothing else, moving it towards the back of the lot would at least help that part of the equation. Is that what you're doing? Are you moving it back?
No, it'd actually just be longer. I'm still staying from the sidewalk to the front of the building would be 25 feet. And yeah, the extension will just be on the north side of it, so it'll be.
It won't be moved back because we want to be able to pull the camper in from the back and not hit anything. Sure.
Was there just one person that was in denial of this in the neighborhood?
How many letters got sent out, you know?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
List there, it says neighbor list.
17.
17? 17 and one came back negative, which was the neighbor closest. And I'm on the liaison on the council, and mostly what they talked about it was gutter size, to get adequate gutter size for the drainage to go out the street. And they said they would, and they would go to their local, whoever there does your construction, and get, because it is a long, it's X amount of feet.
It'll be 72.
72 feet long, so.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, I'm sorry.
Did you want that stipulation, same as the planning commission's recommendation?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make.
Yes, with all the
Just wanted to make sure.
Okay, we had a motion, a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
No.
Motion carries.
I think since it does require 6 votes to approve, I only heard one, but maybe we should do a roll call on that.
Okay, do a roll call.
No.
Rice,
Yes.
Dosher, McCardle, Barrington, Allen,
Yes.
Sharks, Smith.
Aye.
Motion carried.
7-1. Okay, entertain a motion for the Board of Adjustment to adjourn and the City Council to reconvene in regular session.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action on Resolution R2018-14, a resolution of intent to create Business Improvement District Number 3.
All right, well, we had the first step in the downtown bid process last meeting. This would be step number 2. Basically, all this would do is lay out the basics of what's to be expected of the bid for next meeting, and give notice of hearing to all the property owners. And then at that next meeting is when you actually hold the hearing on the creation of the district, and you'd have that first reading on the ordinance to formally create it. So I don't know if anybody has questions about this part of it, but.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action on Resolution R2018-15, approving 6th Avenue Plaza option agreement.
I'll try to stay brief on this one, too. As everybody knows, we've got 6th Avenue Plaza in place. The construction is, I don't know, 99% done, I would say. But at this point, 6th Avenue between Main Street and Lawler has not yet been vacated. So it's still designated as public right-of-way. The city would probably, in the near future, move forward with vacating that portion of right-of-way. The problem is that right now, if you do that, the land that's in that right-of-way reverts back to whoever the adjacent property owner is. Now, the city owns 3/4 of the adjacent property, but the chamber owns the scoreboard lot. So what this does is gives the city the option to buy that portion of land that would revert back to the chamber if we go through the vacation process.
And so if this is approved, and then at a future meeting, we'd have the
Action to
action to
vacate the
vacate?
right-of-way.
Okay.
Yep, so we need this
I
place.
want to make sure I understood the order of,
Yeah,
how that's-
we'd get
okay.
this put in place first, which I think they're taking it to their board next week or maybe later.
29th that's on the.
Okay.
Yep, yep. So chamber would be hopefully approving it at that point, and then we'd do the vacation process after that.
So what happens if they don't want to sell? We call in Guido and Giuseppe, what do we do?
Well.
Or you
I
could just
guess-
keep it as a right-of-way as it
Right,
is
I mean,
now.
You've got the option to either leave it as a right-of-way or, do some kind of condemnation action.
I guess what I'm asking is, what is the practical effect? Do they put a fence up? Do people
They're almost.
picnicking there get a ticket for loitering?
Anybody looking at the situation from the outside is not going to notice a
Right.
difference.
It's just the first step in the process to be able to vacate the right-of-way.
Move to approve resolution R 2018-15.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action to approve appointment of volunteer member to the Consolidated Board of Equalization.
Looks like everybody wants to be on the board.
Well, look at me. I've been on it 5 years.
You're an expert at it by now.
That sounded like a volunteer to me too. You love that job.
You know, it hasn't been bad. In fact, it's been real good. That's why I think maybe one of you guys ought to take it. Kevin, what do you think? John? Well, I'll do it. That's it. But I'm going to need an alternate in case I can't show up. There's-
Get some good experience, John.
The day of the meeting. I'll do it.
Well, we're approving Danny, is that what we're doing?
Guess we're doing, yeah. Is there another?
I'm all for that.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is action to approve Kyle Crochet as Public Works Director effective April 16, 2018.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is the first reading on ordinance number 2018-03, a supplemental appropriation ordinance.
Sorry, I'm a step behind here. Included in your packet are copies of all the background information on the supplemental appropriation ordinance. I also just gave you a couple different pieces of information that I'll go through. Just let me pull this up here because I'm not going to be able to do all this at once here. Some of these items aren't really going to be a surprise to you when you look back. Here we go. The Veterans Park, that's just for unexpended remaining parts of the project that did not get completed in 2017. The sales tax refund, they just didn't apply within the specified time frame for 2017, so she needs the budget authority in 18 in the finance office. The rest of these items are for projects started but not completed in 2017, and I believe that I gave you a full overview on each one of those. The first one in the street and sidewalk, oh, okay, we've got it backwards here, sorry about that. Information technology, that's to close out the remaining phases of camera and electronic door installation in city facilities. This should be final now after this. Yep, it just takes them a while to get the installation done.
Is 2018 going to be behind?
No, I don't think so. I think the majority of the issue that we ran into was just 2018. Most of what we're doing is at the pool, the rec center finishing that out. And then
is the library on 2018?
Yes, they're in 2018. So we don't have any really hard issues. We did have a couple in 17 with public safety connecting some of their buildings, and it just got complicated with some of the cameras and things like that. This next one with street department, the gravel base, that is the regular gravel that we keep on hand. We had to deplete a lot of our stock when we had water main breaks, and Kevin's concern was making sure that we have enough there that we can work on those alleys behind Sanborn, so they're asking for the additional amount left over in that budget, which was $10,000 right here. And then the asphalt mix, there was some patching that they didn't do or didn't use the budget for last year, and when the snow started coming off on Sanborn, they really need to go back and do some repair work on the second phase of Sanborn, so that's what they would be using that for. Looking at the same. Okay, street and sidewalk construction. This gravel base is the recycled gravel base. That's the concrete crushing that they do. You just recently approved a bid, assuming that this money that was unexpended in 17 would get added to the 18 budget. The 6th Street Plaza, that's a closeout of that contract. We're holding back some of that payment till the spring work is complete. The utility work, originally we looked at burying all of the utility lines, including the first double pole, which we held off on because the city did not have the ownership of the property adjacent, but now with the purchase of Northwestern, it might make sense now to do that. It just didn't make sense before that property purchase was complete. Storm drainage, 25,000. Oh yes, this is for the additional drainage study that they've been working on the western side of the city. This is not part of the Clockworks TIF, it's some of the other concern areas that they've been having. Yeah, in that area, yep. Sports complexes, capital improvements, you would have had a full explanation on that one, was the ADA accessible pad for Diamond A and the DW softball diamond. They were not able, the contractor was not available to get the work completed during the season last year. That's why it's being moved to this year. The mosquito program, we just had a slow year of mosquitoes, so for whatever. I know. We didn't have the right kind of mosquitoes, the West Nile mosquitoes. So they're moving those grant funds into 2018 to continue the program.
And will we be able to still get another grant for this
They
year?
can still apply, yep. And then the last one was professional services. That's for the remaining budget items with the rec center business plan with Councilman Hunsaker. It just didn't all get billed out in 2017. And then this indoor swimming pool, we put the full budget in 2017. This is what we have remaining to pay bills for in 2018. So it's just moving that budget authority from 17 over to 18. So the only one that would be on there that would not be, I don't see the entertainment tax one. Oh, there it is. I went right over it. I apologize. This is a request from the Sports and Events Authority. They often get requests for support for local events that don't always result in an overnight stay. And so what the conversation was by that committee is that it would be nice to have access to some of the entertainment tax money that could still be used for those events that are drawing lots of people into Mitchell that are maybe out in the restaurants and things like that, but aren't resulting in an overnight stay. So this would not come from general fund. This is coming out of the entertainment tax fund, and we would just create a new line that Michelle has listed there, SEA local events. And any future funding of this would have to come to council through the budget. So this would be one that was not this isn't one of the unfinished projects from 17. It's a new request just because of that. Committee receives ongoing requests for local events that aren't part of overnight stays, which is what the bid supports.
So what kind of request, what's the money?
Here's an example.
$500?
Yeah, Mayor and I sit on the Sports and Events Authority Committee, and every once in a while, like for instance, Scott came to the Sports Authority and said, the way that they've done the new South Dakota Athletic with the teams making it to state, they now have the top 16 teams try to get into the state tournament. They get down, they have regions and they get down to 16. One plays 16, two plays 15. So you could have somebody from Sisseton playing somebody from way out west, let's say Phillip or whatever, and then what they do, the High School Activity Association says you're going to meet on a Tuesday night in Mitchell. And so what happens then is the high school then gets the opportunity to host this, and it's almost a break even, depending on the two that we had both in volleyball and basketball. This happened, and it basically just comes down to a break even. So does the athletic department at the school really want to go through all this process and basically make nothing? Well, there's very little or no overnight stays, so it doesn't really fit the mission of the Sports and Events Authority, but yet we've got events that are, it's very good for Mitchell. You see every team stop at McDonald's on the way out. Their parents are here, whatever the case may be. We have very good crowds at the Corn Palace. So we hate to say no. So what we want to do is have a little money, and you can tell it's not an enormous amount, but yet it's going to help out on these type of events to host them. And there's others that do come, and we deny them as a result of it, and just not the High School Activity Association. There's others that happen throughout, and it's very good for Mitchell, but it doesn't promote overnight stays. And so that's why we wanted just a little bit of flexibility there, and reinvesting our funds that we're already getting in.
I would anticipate we would be tracking anything that's coming out of that separately. So we can provide with council, if you approve this, a listing of everything that was funded for that, so that when you get into budget for next year, you can determine if you want to continue it.
How broad is the definition of sports? It's a sports authority.
Sports and events.
And events. Okay, so, the show choir this year was.
They got funding.
But in the past, it had been, a day, but still, packed.
And we don't fund it.
Yep. Another request of a one-day event was the Memorial Weekend. They requested some assistance. It's the only one I can remember.
Okay, and I guess I don't have a problem with it, and I think it's a good idea, but my only question is, does it get us around any legal violation of the bid that we passed that said it was for overnight stays?
That's why they wanted separate money.
That's why they wanted it as a separate item? Okay.
Otherwise, it didn't qualify.
Right, okay.
Can't use bid funds for it, but these wouldn't be bid
Yeah.
funds.
Okay.
It'd just be entertainment tax funds that we would track separately.
The bait and switch type accusation. Make sure we're getting around, and that's exactly what we're trying to get around, correct?
Yeah. Exactly. We don't want to be using bid.
Okay.
We don't want to be using bid money for those events, but yet there are some same-day events that are beneficial to the community.
Okay.
Yeah, and the difference is, the bid tax, that's coming from the hotels. That's not, this is entertainment tax that's coming from hotels, restaurants, bars, and ticket sales. And then the only other thing I just wanted to bring up to council as part of your conversation, you often talk about where we end, we talk about where we end the year compared to where we thought we were. Just to walk you through a little bit of this, we did make sure that the finance office had completed all journal entries before we started looking at what we had to work with. So the total request out of the general fund is $450, which is within that allowed amount that we had anticipated for this year. Because it is less than what we thought we would have to use out of general fund reserves, there's a couple things. The council has continually asked, or on occasion has asked, how do we go about designating funds for other purposes? I just wanted to point out that when we started changing the way we were doing this process, where we were doing supplemental appropriations all year out of cash reserves, or cash reserves, undesignated cash reserves was down to 10%. When we started this process here, we've been talking about trying to get between 25 and 30 because then you have funds available to apply towards capital projects. If you just look at starting after the supplemental appropriations, our unrestricted cash balances is 22%. So that's sitting at a good position compared to where we were previously. I know one of the considerations the council has brought up is that 27th payroll, which we do know will occur in 2020. Michelle did look at what we currently have designated as $181,000. We do know that we would need an additional $240,000 to meet that payroll. That would be in the general fund and the special revenue funds, covering those as well. If you were to do something like that, where you wanted to designate that in your cash reserves, that would bring it down to 20.8%. Of course, I had to add that other comment in there is that your other option is that in 2020, when you need the other $240,000, you make reductions elsewhere so that you're taking out of current operations and not out of reserves. Either way, if you continue with phase 2 of Sanborn next year, we're going to be using some of those reserves on that project as well. So I just wanted to point it out. I know that you have commented several different times, when would we do these designations? It's as simple as a motion by council, and I would assume that after you do your next supplemental appropriation, when you do your second reading and action on this ordinance, you'll know where you end, and then if you want to consider doing designations at that time, you could do it then.
Well, I was on the council when we were sandbagged with the 27th, and it was kind of a challenge to make that. And I think taxpayers would say, gosh, you're not fixing my street, you're not doing my sewer, you're not doing my water, because you didn't plan for 27th payroll you knew was coming. So I personally would be hesitant about not doing $250,000, roughly, worth of basic services because we did whatever with the money now.
And if that's something that you would like us to do, Michelle and I could just prepare an action, and then you guys can discuss it at the next meeting after the supplemental appropriation
Could we see that? And then is potentially, even if we don't do it at the second reading, is it something that could be part of the 2019 budget?
You can do it
process?
anytime.
We could do it
anytime.
Because maybe by July, August,
you might know better where you are with
sales tax. We might know a little bit better on how financially we look.
Yep.
Personally, I'd rather pay our people first and make sure that that money's available. It's just how far in advance do you do it? It's 2020. We haven't done that budget yet. So,
and then in my opinion here, I think it's easier to see on this spreadsheet than my narrative. Right. So you can see we started at 24.2% when we did the supplemental appropriations. We're down to 22. And if you do this additional designation, you're down to 20.8, which is still way better than where you were 3 years ago. And keeping in mind, you took $900,000 out of reserves for Sanborn this year, and that's factored into all of this. So it's a good thing. It's good news. Yeah.
Well, I'm a safety girl, and I would rather have that money taken care of and know that that's in place and be able to plan around that, knowing that that's already there, than have to wait. I mean, I just feel like that's being prudent to take care of.
And I guess I should say too, Steve, I don't know if I answered that very well. You can designate and undesignate at any time.
Right.
So the benefit about doing it now is that when we do get into budget and I start running my reports, it's going to just take that cash out. So we're not looking at it as available for financing.
And again, my question's just on the timing and what other information or what might happen between now and July, for instance, on that.
And the 2020 budget really is not that far away. I mean, 2019 is just right around the corner.
Yeah.
Budget.
But I know you've asked the question several times, so, this is it, and you wanted to look at it at the same time we look at those appropriations for other purposes, so. I did get confirmation back from the state today that our water plan was submitted for amendment on this month's agenda. So, and they said they are recommending it be placed on the state water plan, which opens up the financing for some of those other water plan projects that we had, which is going to make things a lot easier for that as well.
I will move approval of ordinance 2018-03 supplemental appropriation first reading.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Adjourned.
Susan,
Kevin.
Come to adjourn, everybody.
Yeah.